Hey guys, and welcome to another devlog video for the Animal Behavior Kit. In this preview, I want to show you guys two improvements that are coming for 1.3. One is related to the attack code. This is the code that makes sure that the animal follows the target and attacks the target. And then some additional improvements to the population control system. So the first thing I want to show you guys is what is currently there right now. So I have two animals here. I have a crocodile, which you guys have seen, and I have the bear. And you'll notice here that if I select the bear, the collision sphere for the bear is right here. You can see it here. It's pretty big. It covers most of the bear, even though there's sections here at the top where obviously, there's empty space. But I can't really do that for the crocodile, right? If I were to do that and to try to cover the entire crocodile's body, the circle would come all the way here, similar to this outer here, which means that if somebody wanted to jump over the crocodile, they'll actually hit the capsule. So I can't really do that for long animals like a crocodile, right? So what I've done is I've made the collision sphere that's at the root very small. You can see it in here. And I've enabled collision for the actual mesh of the crocodile, right? And why am I telling you this? Well, the reason for that is because the collision sphere of the crocodile is so small, the AI has difficulty lining up to the target. So if I have this bear and I'm going to change the engaged behavior to attack, and I hit play here, you'll see that the bear is going to come to me, he's going to get nearby, and he's going to attack. And the bear stops as soon as there's overlap of that collision box, right? That's typically that's the standard behavior on Unreal Engine. When you tell the AI to go to a specific location, you can make it stop on overlap, right? In this case, it works fine for the bear. You can see that it's aligning perfectly fine because the collision is covering its entire body. But if I go and do this for the crocodile, notice the difference here. If I just kind of stand here, and the crocodile's obviously slow, but if it comes here, notice that it's kind of bumping into me, right? It's having difficulty getting and aligning himself properly to me because the collision sphere is so small, right? So the AI is not stopping an overlap as it should. Um, so to solve this, I've actually made some really cool improvements to the way that I'm detecting proximity. And basically now you guys will have the option with 1.3, if you scroll all the way down to behavior detail attack, there's a new Boolean, which by the way is on by default, called accurate target detection. And this is basically using a trace and some code to better position the animal to the target. So now just by flipping this on and I click play, notice what happens now. Now I'm going to make myself invincible here, but the crocodile now stops at the right place. And if I come here and I debug melee range, you'll see what's happening here. Basically what's happening is that I'm using traces when the animal gets nearby to detect if I'm close to melee range, and I basically stop the animal. So there's no longer a reason for the animal to overlap, and you can see there. Oops, I'm gonna stop here. You can see the overlap there. And the cool thing is that I'm actually doing more than that, right? So it's more than just doing a trace. I'm also matching the speed of the target. So that way the crocodile or the animal doesn't overrun, right? So let's just give you an example. If I wanted to increase the movement of this guy, right now is engage max speed is like 500. Let me make it like, I don't know, 3000, right? Just to drive the point home, right? What's happening is if I click play and he sees me, he's gonna speed up really quickly, even though acceleration is slow. But notice that now he's going really fast. And eventually when he gets to me, notice that now, even though I'm walking slower, his top speed is now matching my speed, even though he would normally be going at 3,000 units, right? So what this basically means is that now you have an animal that's following its prey, and when it gets to melee range, it matches the speed of its prey, and this is why it stops at the right time, right? So if he gets to me and I'm stopped, it will just stop and attack me. But if I'm moving, even if I'm moving slowly, the animal's going to try to match my speed and try to stick to me, as you can see here. So this is obviously a little more expensive because I'm doing traces and I'm detecting the rotation of the target, etc. But in my opinion, it's definitely well worth it because you don't have to fidget with the collision box anymore. You can make the collision box whatever shape you want, including small, like in this crocodile. And now the animal will get to the target and stick to the target in a much better way. So that's one thing that I think it makes it really nice for all shapes of the animals. And the other one was, I'm just going to go ahead and delete these guys here. The other one was to the population control system. These are some small but useful improvements. So the first one is actually on the spawners, right? So I have a population control system here with 4 spawners on the map. And if I click on one of the spawners, you'll notice that now we have a little volume here. So the first thing I did was that now instead of spawning, when the animal in this spawner spawns, it will not spawn at the actual location, root location, but it will pick a random location within this volume here. So if you're spawning a bunch of animals, they're less likely to get stuck as they spawn from one place, right, and try to all move around, but they're going to be spawning around here. So you could make this volume as big as you wanted to. You can see the scale here to make sure that the animals are always spawning within one area and not just one single point. The other thing that you'll notice is that I've added a species box here, and you can see here. So now you can specify the species for each individual spawner. So right here I have spawner 1 and 2 have species of bear, and 4 and 5 are deer. And what happens now is that I've added a new utility called populate spawners that would basically, and I'm going to go ahead and remove the spawner just to show you guys. Say that you're adding a new species, you click and plus, you add the species deer, you add your min and max and all your information, and here you would have to click on the plus sign and select your spawners. But if you had a massive level with a bunch of spawners, instead of trying to remember which one is which, or trying to use the eyedropper here, right, which can get tricky, what you would do is you would click on the utility, and the utility would automatically populate your spawners based on the species. So basically what this does is it looks at the species here, and it looks at all of the spawners in the level, and if the spawner's species field is also the same, in this case deer, then it'll automatically add it to that species. So again, fairly simple, but it's a nice little time saver. So now you could have potentially hundreds of spawners all over your level, several for all your species. You can add or remove spawners, and as long as you keep the species matching the same, you can always, like, let's say that this is a one deer, I can just immediately duplicate it and then come back here and just press populate spawners again, and now the third one appears here automatically. I don't have to fidget with it, I don't have to remove it automatically. It will automatically redo all of your spawners. Whoops, let me go ahead and remove it here. There you go. That way I can just remove this guy and then I'll populate them again. There you go. And lastly, I think I've talked about this before, but I might as well share it here. It is that now the population control has an option to check for the player nearby a spawner. So basically, the problem that was happening was, say you have a bunch of spawners, and in game the player is going nearby one of the spawners. Potentially the player would see then animals spawn from thin air because the population control decided that this is the spawner that it needed to use. Obviously you don't want to do that. So now there's an option here where you can check for the player proximity and you can give it a radius, and now it'll do a trace, a sphere trace on every single spawner looking for the player, and if it finds the player, it will pick a different spawner from that species if it can. So just to drive the point home, this guy is going to be deer, and let's say that I want to turn this on here. If I click on play, give it a second here, notice that it didn't spawn anything here. You can see the trace here, but it spawned bears on those far ones, and it spawned deer on that one over there. I think it's 30 seconds, as you can see. But it didn't spawn anything here, again, because the player was there. I'm gonna run away here. There's way too many bears. Whoops. But you guys get the point. All right. So that's pretty much it, guys. Improvements in population control, improvements in the attack code. Like I said, the attack code is now on by default. Should give you guys a much smoother experience with your AI. Combine that with the fact that now you can have the AI use turn animations and all the other little improvements. And I think you guys will be very happy with it. So, all right, that's all I had for you guys today. Again, I'm getting closer and closer to release, so I just have a few additional things that I need to finish up, and then I think we'll be ready for submission. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you in the next video.